Coaches, Rick here from The Art of Tennis. Welcome back to episode 5. So today we're going to talk about why people play tennis, because as coaches, you're going to need to know those reasons to help sell the sport to potential players' parents, and you need to know what might be the points that encourage people to make that decision to sign up to a lesson or play their first tennis game. So from a parent's point of view, tennis is a reasonably safe sport. Okay, it's non-contact. So if we compare that to sports like football, rugby, maybe the martial arts, things like this, parents are going to be pretty happy from that side of things, that their child is not going to hurt themselves or any sort of long-term concussion damage that can come from these activities. Now, I played footy, loved footy, great sport, but there is genuine risk of hurting yourself, all right? Whether that's concussion, whether that's doing a knee, et cetera. So, these can be a concern. So you've got the safety aspect from the parents' point of view for kids. Now, the other thing is unique to tennis is it's really a male and female sport. So a lot of times the participation can be around 50-50. So you can have half boys and half girls, and that's very powerful. If we look at a sport like netball, it's obviously predominantly girls. We could say footy is predominantly boys, although it's obviously grown a lot over the last few years, the girls' football. But tennis is very much a 50-50 type participation sport. There's social elements to playing sport. So often kids are encouraged to sign up for an activity just because the parents want their kids to get involved and meet people what might be outside of the school. As a parent myself, I've got 2 now teenage daughters. I understand the complexities of friendships and the importance of having friends that are outside of their main group at school, all right, to meet other people from whether it's different backgrounds or just get outside of the circle. So I think that social part's really important. And if you're a coach at a local club, a community club, then most likely you are coaching people in the area. Okay, maybe they're within a 5K radius of where you coach. That would be most of our clients at Scarborough Tennis Academy would be within 5Ks. We do have people who travel probably 15Ks to come, but they are more invested in the sport and they are more dedicated playing tournaments and things like that. So traveling for, high quality training to them is worth it. But most kids, especially when they're just getting started, are going to be in that local, even 3 kilometer to 5 kilometer radius of where you coach. So meeting local kids, you're actually meeting potential local friends. Some kids, of course, go to private schools, not necessarily in the area. So this gives a different opportunity to meet local kids. So you've got the social element there. I've got fitness written down here as a point. Now, kids don't really think too much about fitness. They think about, getting out there and being active, having fun, but they're not necessarily counting their steps. But fitness is certainly an aspect for, let's say, the young adults or older adults. They're gonna take on playing tennis because of the fitness elements. Maybe they see it as a much better alternative to going to the gym, going on the treadmill, boring, and tennis is a bit more stimulating, which it is, and a good way to both get their steps and their workout, but while they're enjoying it. So I think kids in the fitness side, but parents wise, they would like to see their kids active, like all parents would want their kids. We've got kids, obviously, iPhones, iPads are really dominate life these days. So to get off of the iPad or iPhone and to get out for an hour or 2 to play some tennis, play games against other kids, and it's all very healthy for the kids' lifestyle. So definitely the fitness component may come into the parents' perspective or being active. And the kids, they're not really thinking about fitness, but they are thinking, they're thinking about the fun side. So they're thinking about, oh, that was great. I really love that. I love playing that game at the end, or, I really like doing this. Now, another element, people play to compete. All right. And kids, adults, they like to compete. Now, competition, it can be a great thing. Obviously, there's some downsides to competition, and that's losing. But you need to understand that with competition, you're going to get wins, you're going to get losses. But the thrill of competing, it will bring out the best in you. So I guess it's like accountability. By having that accountability, by competing, you've got accountability to your game. So rather than just playing and, okay, it doesn't matter if, what happens here, we're not scoring. Once you're competing, you've got accountability to your game, and you can measure yourself a little bit against other people. And what's going to happen there, you're going to be disappointed if you lose, but you're going to go do a little bit of soul searching and think, okay, well, what do I need to do to get better? And if you get a win, then you obviously get the high of that win, and it feels good. As I've said in earlier episodes, it feels great to win. All right, every win feels good, and most losses don't necessarily feel that good. So we've got the competition side. Now, parents, from a parent's point of view, putting their kids in tennis, there will be some parents who are not as excited with the competitive side. These parents were not so much into competitive sports themselves, or maybe they've had a bad experience growing up in competitive sports, which can happen. Maybe their parents pushed them too hard, and so they don't want their kids to be pushed and lose the love of the game. And these are all, valid reasons, but you really can compete without having so much pressure that you lose the enjoyment. So, that's the sweet spot that coaches need to be able to find with their pupils, is you can compete, you can fight, work hard, but you don't need to feel so much pressure that it's a life-destroying event if you lose. Okay, there's a lot of good articles out there talking about what parents should do after a match, after their child plays and loses. What should parents do? Should they start telling them, well, you were doing too many double faults, or, oh, your backhand, you just keep hitting your backhand long, you kept doing this, and why did you do that? Why did you stand there? And they talk about the car ride home. And so you don't want to be doing that as a parent. You don't want to be ranting onto your child, especially directly after a match, about all the things they didn't do, because that is pressure, and that is putting parents, crossing the chasm from parent to actually a coach, in that they are offering feedback on the match. This gets tricky because parents want to help their kids, and that's great. And sometimes what the parents have discovered is great, and they are right. Maybe they were hitting their backhand long, or maybe they were standing way too close when they're returning serve. But it's not so much the parent's job to be the coach into deconstructing the game afterwards. It can be helpful from a coach point of view if the parents give you that little bit of feedback, and then the coach can maybe work on more topspin on the backhand, or getting a better return to serve position, etc. So the competition side is great, and that's definitely a reason a lot of kids, they love to compete, right? They love the battle, they love to verse each other, as a lot of them will say, and it gives them something to aim for. It gives them goals. So whether those goals are to win the premiership for their team, if they're playing as part of a team pennant, whether their goals are to win a round in a tournament or win a tournament, or whether their goals are to make a higher percentage of first serves, right? Which is a goal they can actually control, where the other goals you can't control, but something like increasing their first serve percentage. These are all good goals, and they'll only come when there's competition, because without competition, you're not accountable, so you're not really gonna think about it or address it. If you're just playing for fun and you don't really have skin in the game as such, then it's a little bit different. So when you're competing, you do have that accountability to get better, and that's really, if it's done well, is a really great pathway to take. So we've got fun. I've talked about the social reasons. Now, social reasons can be for recreational tennis players, just doing some hot shots lessons, and they've got their little mate there that they love playing against or with. The social reasons can also cross over to the more serious competition tennis, where they meet like-minded friends who also like to compete. Maybe they play doubles, maybe they're playing in a team, and they are together trying to achieve their goal. So the social side really can come full spectrum, from the recreational through to the competition. Many of my friends today were from tennis, and I think that would be the same for many tennis players who've kept playing through to adulthood. They've got a lot of friends from when they were young, and they still have a huge network of people they know now from tennis. So that's obviously that's a positive there. So we talked about the fitness or the health, really important for adults. All right, maybe they're feeling a bit unfit, bit of a Christmas period, New Year's period. We know in coaching that we get to January and the New Year's resolutions come out, and suddenly Barry, who's 27, who's maybe had a big Christmas and a big New Year, Barry decides, right, this is the year I'm going to play tennis. I'm going to commit to tennis. I'm going to get fit. I'm going to get better at it. And this is going to be my resolution. All right, so that might be Barry. It might also be Sally doing the same thing. Sally might decide that, I want to play some cardio tennis. Sounds fun. I'm not going to go to the gym anymore. I'm going to go do cardio tennis. That sounds so much better. There's music going. And so that might be Sally's New Year's resolution to do that. So the fitness is more so a incentive for the adults than the kids. And so who can play tennis? We got all spectrum of kids. We can start with a kindy age kid, right? So let's say 3 or 4 year olds. Okay, so a kindy age kid. Now, sometimes at this age, they're going to struggle to hit the ball over a net. We're obviously modifying nets by using small nets or winding the net down. We're shortening the court, and we've got the red balls which bounce lower. And the reason you use red balls is because what is my hip height or someone else's hip height is certainly not a 3-year-old's hip height. So we want that ball bounce to be a little bit lower to enable success there. So we've got the kindy kids. Now, for them, tennis is going to be maybe the first organized activity they do. So mum or dad have decided, let's get them into this. Let's have a go. Let's have a little bit of a try. Expectations are low. They just want their kids to get through the half an hour, hopefully have their attention span last, which can be difficult. Once you hit 20 minutes with that age kids, their attention span does drift. But really, they're just going through the experience of the lesson and getting used to it. And what happens? There's a coach, there's kids, interacting with kids, playing, learning a little bit, but the expectations on how fast they're improving are not really there at that age. And then you get to primary school. Now, primary school, obviously we have a lot of tennis players start in primary school. So let's say 5, 6, right through to 12 years old, there's going to be the bulk of a lot of tennis programs, okay? Because you have a huge amount of those kids either doing tennis as their regular sport, maybe once a week, maybe twice a week, or they're just trying. Maybe they're trying for a term or two. There's a lot of people who try a whole lot of different sports, and I think that's great. And so your job as a coach is those who are trying, you turn them from a trier into a regular player. So to do that, you need to make it engaging for them. You need to help them see that they have got a little bit better. So where the kindy kids, the expectations are fairly low. Primary school kids, they want to get better. They want to see that now they can hit it over the net. Their parents definitely want to see them improve. They're paying, decent money for the kids to go to lessons. And if they're 7, 8, 9, 10, you should see them improve reasonably quickly. It can be a bit difficult to improve just playing once a week. So encourage people to have a hit outside of their once a week tennis, whether it's a hit with mum or dad. Maybe they do 2 lessons a week, but that really accelerates the learning in tennis. Then you've got the young adult, the teenagers are first. So teenagers, now normally teenagers are either have played from young and they are in that competition phase. All right, they're playing in pennants, maybe tournaments, but they know how to play, and this has become a part of their life by that point. All right, they are they're probably 2 to 3 day a week tennis players minimum, and what do you do? Well, I play tennis. It becomes a part of their identity by that point. Some teenagers do start tennis they try. Maybe they've started a little bit late if they start at 13, 14, but you need to have programs, whether it's a teen tennis learning to play or recreational program. You need to have that in place because you will get a small amount of teenagers who are just wanting to try. Maybe they've done other sports and they don't want to do that anymore, and them as well as their parents are keen to see them do something else, so they might try tennis at that point. But the majority of the teenagers, let's say 14 to 17, they have played from 8, 7, 6, and they've become good tennis players who, like I said, it becomes a part of their identity. So you've got the teenagers, and then you've got young adults. So those in their, well, let's say early 20s, mid 20s, even late 20s. So possibly not married, or no kids yet. And they're looking for that. They're likely at going to the gym. They might be doing yoga classes. They've got time. They've got income because they're earning. They would be working, and they don't have kids, so they're going to have a little bit more disposable income. So they're going to be interested in maybe finding a little passion project with tennis. You get some who want to take on private lessons and just make it a real go of it in their 20s. But a lot of them might do an intermediate class or beginner class, or cardio tennis is great for that. So those types they will get involved. They've got the time. They probably want to meet people just like kids. They want the chance to meet like-minded people in a healthy environment and, have fun while they're getting fit. So that's kind of ticking all the boxes there with that age group. Then you got older adults. Now they might be members who play tennis, might only play doubles. And so when we're talking older adults, we could have 60, 70. I've coached people in their 80s before in private lessons who just wanted to get a bit more consistent. Now there's a little bit of a limitation on how much you can get done with an 82-year-old, but I mean, how amazing is it when you get someone who's 80 and they're like, I just want to get a bit more consistent with my backhand. So the older players, maybe they'll lean towards private lessons if they play regularly. They might want some doubles strategy. So if they're a little bit younger, they might want to form a little group and work on their doubles. Okay, maybe they've got a specific doubles partner and the two of them want to work together to improve some tactics there. So you've got the older adults as well who are also interested in tennis. So as coaches, we're in a unique position where we can coach 3-year-olds and we can coach 83-year-olds. And where they might have a little bit different interests and motivations to play, it's kind of similar. You got the fun, you got the fitness, you got the social, and you got the competition. And the competition is sort of the more ambitious side of the tennis player. I'll put one more in there, which is some parents, I guess, maybe their motivations are a little stronger. And this is only a small proportion of parents, but maybe their motivation's a bit stronger than their kids. And they're wanting their kid to play to actually show off to their friends, right? So that can happen. My kid's playing number 1 on the school team. My kid is number 3 in the state. So that can happen. Hopefully the kid's enjoying it as well. If the kid loves it, then that's actually no real issue. But if it's being driven by the parents, then that is probably a recipe for burnout at some point for the kid, because they need to be motivated to do it themselves. So the showing off part won't work great for the kid who doesn't even really like it that much. All right, they'd much rather go skateboarding or whatever it might be. So that's it. So there are a few different reasons on why people play tennis. As coaches, we need to know this. We need to be able to sell this, find the motivation and guide them to the right pathway for their tennis. All right, that's it from me. See you next time. Cheers.